Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report and a company update from Aztec Minerals, following up on a news release posted yesterday, January 28th, that reported bonanza grade silver drill result from the southern extension of the contention zone at the Tombstone Project. Headline number being over 7,000 grams per ton silver equivalent, over 1.5 meters within a zone of almost 600 grams per ton silver equivalent over almost 26 meters. I am chatting with Simon Dyakowski, President and CEO of Aztec Minerals. Company is traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol AZT and on the OTCQB under the symbol AZZTF. Simon, let's focus on that drill result. Look, there were 4 holes within that news release. Hole 16 is the headline hole, and it is the hole furthest to the south on all the drilling from this year's program. I'll post figure 1 from the news release that shows the location of this hole and the distance from another high-grade hit, hole 2301, in the contention main pit zone. Simon, first question here is, this result, this high-grade result, is this the best hole ever drilled on the property?
Well, hey, Corey, thanks for having me on. And the short answer to that is yes, this is the best drill hole that we've ever drilled at Tombstone. Although the market didn't react that way when we posted it, I can assure you that it is. You know, the zone that we hit, it has not only bonanza grade silver over a meaningful width of 5 feet or 1.52 meters. There's a high grade zone that sits above and below it. And it's also paired with some high grade gold samples as well. 45 grams of gold, almost 8 grams of gold, 2, 1, etc. As we go down this zone, it's very shallow. And the standout interval to me is this 25-meter width of over 550 grams silver equivalent. Really the thickest intersection that we've of that kind of grade that we've ever seen at Tombstone. And you know, for us, really great to see this. The Tombstone Silver District has historically been known for these kind of grades, and our drilling to date has really been focusing on expanding on the bulk tonnage or the lower grade hanging wall and footwall mineralization around the old stopes and workings. So you see a lot of that mineralization towards the north of the pit, a lot of stoped out material, but still has good grades remaining. But as we now move further south, we can see that the extent of the underground mining of yesteryear really stopped around where we started to drill. And we intersected no workings on this hole, and we hit through that mineralized dike, which carries this spectacular grade. And it was really a surprise for us, Corey. We had planned this hole really as a pre-caller for some deeper drilling down the road, meaning that we start the hole with RC, leave the casing in, and then complete it with core. But obviously there was some potential to intersect mineralization, but we were really pleasantly surprised to see that we cut this steeply dipping to the west dike and had this exceptional grade. And note that the entire hole was oxidized, so down to 300 meters nearly, we're still in oxidized rock. So not only do we hit the high grade precious metal system shallow, but we've got a very, very positive indicator that we could have some compelling sulfide style mineralization way down at depth. So we've got a great foundation to keep drilling this hole when we're back in the field in a few months.
Okay, so this really sounds like it just opens up this whole new area. We can see that there were some drill holes in the southern extension, but not really anywhere close to where this hole was drilled. What more work do you need to do then before you get drills back on the ground to, I guess, further isolate this target?
Yeah, no, great question. Really, we're gonna be modeling this up. We are going to study, how these structures are oriented in 3D, and really just drill more. To be honest, there's not a ton more work that needs to be done in preparation other than physically getting a drill down there. So that'll be a big focus of the next drill campaign that we'll start planning over the coming weeks, would be to step out from this zone. we believe that it has the potential to run much further south, even further south than our 2020 drill pattern at the southern spoke pattern that you can see on some of the figures in our material from today's release. So quite a bit of drilling would be planned in the southern extension and as well in the west side. And the contention main pit does have some gaps, but it's quite well drilled off now for potential future resource modeling.
So, Simon, this drill program, look, you did drill in and around that contention main pit zone, but then you also put holes into the west side target and that southern extension. What becomes the priority here? Is it simply the southern extension, or do you go back to that west side area?
No, certainly. I think there's potential for this kind of grade in the west side area as well. And we did touch on it maybe the last time I was on the show. However, just to recap a little bit, we now have a much better idea that the north-south dikes are the structures that carry most of the high-grade gold silver. We were testing the anticlines in the west side drilling of this year, but as we get back into the field, we will go and step out and probably more in a grid pattern, drill off some of these north-south dike structures that do carry the grade of the contention main zone. And I'll also note that the tenor, or the breakdown, or the comparison between the gold and silver mineralization, or the ratio, if you will, between the main contention pit and the west side area now to the south, is one where we see the silver content increasing as we go, both south and west. So, I don't want to commit here to how many holes or meters each target is going to get, but I feel okay with saying that they'll both see substantial drilling at this point.
So, regarding the balance between the gold versus silver mineralization, what do you want to see more of? What is the priority?
Well, I mean, it's not exactly like we have a choice of what we get, but it's just your typical tombstone style of mineralization here, right? Where you've got silver hosted in cerargyrite. So this is important. It's oxidized and it can leach. It's got excellent leach potential. So it can be appropriate for heap leaching. We want to see more of that. And then obviously the gold in these QFP or quartz feldspar porphyry dikes is also leachable. So we'd like to see, definitely just an expansion of that potential. And we don't see really yet any clearly defined limits to the system in any of our drilling. And we did talk about it on our last call that there's some zonation and there's some pinching and swelling, but there's really nothing yet to us that clearly sort of condemns any sort of step out potential in any of these three target zones. It's really just a question of prioritizing these precious dollars that we have to explore with.
Now, regarding again why you drilled hole 16, you said it's right on top of a potential deep CRD target. What depth are we talking? And any kind of local considerations in terms of other assets that also have a CRD target or a CRD deposit in the area?
Oh, I mean, great question. So let me answer that in reverse order. So 60 kilometers to our southwest is another silver district. It would be the closest silver district to Tombstone, known as Hermosa, now known as Hermosa Taylor, and now owned and operated by South 32 out of Australia. So this was a big discovery made in 2015 by Arizona Mining. They took a data review essentially of a past producing high grade silver district near us, determined that for them, at least the metallurgy was challenging, a different type of silver host mineral. And instead of focusing on the shallow potential, they then spent some of their efforts following up on some deep sulfide potential that they had found within their database. And at a depth of 1.1 kilometers, or around 1,100 meters below surface, they intersected a very, very significant silver lead zinc system at depth in sulfide in the carbonate units. So that's our discovery model for something at depth. So we can apply some geological similarities to our property, but more significantly, I think as a comparison is the depth of the target. Our target depth is only about one half of that vertical distance as compared to what Arizona Mining was dealing with at Hermosa Taylor.
So then, Simon, well, let's talk big picture. Now that this drill program is done, you clearly want to get back on the ground here. what needs to happen for that to happen, and what news could we see in the meantime before another drill starts turning?
Yeah, like we have to secure a drill contract again. We have to really, compile and analyze the results that we've received. I mean, this is the last 4 holes that we just drilled a couple of weeks ago, really. So there's a little bit of desktop work to do there. You're going to see news further expanding on the geological takeaways from the discoveries that we've drilled over the past 4 months. And you're also likely going to see some discussion of how the geological information that we've obtained from this drilling, how it also supports the deeper sort of system geology and how it might play in with an associated carbonate replacement deposit style of mineralization at depth. So certainly not the last news release that you're going to see from us until the next drill program. I expect to have regular updates out to our shareholders over the next 60 days.
All right, Simon, I think that covers it here. Again, I will post figure 1 from the news release as well as a cross section of that hole 16. That sounds like, well, it was the best hole on the project to drill to date. So a lot of follow-up work to happen there. So if anybody has any follow-up questions on this year's drill program, or last year's drill program, any of the work planned for this year, or simply on these recent results, please email me and I'll get Simon to address those. Simon, thank you again for this update. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks for the opportunity. Have a great day, Corey. Cheers. Bye.